Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Factorio. My name is Tanis Fugit. Welcome to the Fugitive Theater. All right, so here's where we're at. I said last time that we are going to figure out trains and continue expanding our train network, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. And I did say specifically that I was going to figure out how, review my notes on train signals and chain signals, and I have done so. And I'm going to do a quick sort of explanation for those of you who don't understand the system. I don't imagine there will be a lot amongst my viewers who don't fully understand the system, but I want to give a quick visual understanding of sort of what's happening here. So I'm going to just drop down a couple of tracks here, and I'm going to visually show how rails and things work. So, or how these signals work specifically. So when you're thinking about tracks, what you should be thinking about them in are in blocks. These are sort of groups of tracks. And the way that that works primarily is if I say put a rail signal here and I put another rail signal here, you should see visually represented on the track are these lines, right? And you can see how it's broken up into these blocks, right? There's a blue block here, a pink block here, and a blue block here, broken up at the point where I put down the rails. Now, rails are always on the right, so imagine if you're driving, it's out your sort of right-hand window. So if you're coming out here, there's a signal on the right. So that has to do with trains coming from this way, going across to the right, from the left to the right. This rail would be unavailable for a train coming from the right and going left because there's no signal to indicate that. If I were to take this signal and I were to drop it here and here, you would see that now actually it would now be available for a train to go this way and for a train to go this way, right? So these blocks are very important because basically these indicate at this signal, it will tell an oncoming train whether it is allowed to pass this signal or not. And the way that it does that is by this signal scans this next block to see if there is a train on it. Since right now there is not, it's an open rail. This is green. It shows green. That means, a train could go. I don't actually have a locomotive in my inventory, so this is going to be a little bit of a, but imagine a train was sitting right here, just stopped, right? Where my character is. This signal would turn red, and this signal over here would turn red because it would stop a train that wants to come in from this way, and it would stop any trains that wants to come in from this way, right? So what if I get rid of this, and if I get rid of this, and instead there was a chain signal, right? Well, chain signals not only look at the space in front of them, but also the next block as well. So if there was a train right here on the end, just sitting here, not only would this say red, but this would also say red because it's looking at the next signal ahead of it. This is really, really important for a number of reasons. This is because, for instance, say I have another train line that's coming down this way, right? These are two different train lines, right? There's a train going to be coming this way, there's a train going to be coming this way. Well, if there's a train waiting right here, right, he's safe from this intersection. He's not going in, nothing's going to hit him. But the next time a train wants to come through from here, if this were a regular signal, he would pass into this signal, he would go to this point, then he would stop. But now, the train is now back across this network, across this intersection. Now, if a train were to come this way, bam, it would slam into him. Or if this were marked correctly, then this train coming down would have to stop. And now this train and this train are waiting for this train. And you can start to see how this can start causing backups, right? If instead this is correctly signaled with a chain signal, your train will stop here. This train can just go on its merry way. There's nothing in its way. And now this train is only holding up this train. It had nothing to do with any of the oncoming traffic train. And that's why it's important to make sure that intersections are marked correctly, not just because you don't want trains slamming into each other, but also because you don't want trains getting into the middle of intersections, stopping, and causing all kinds of other traffic to be stopped along the way. So that's the difference between chain signals and rail signals. And that's very basic. And you'll find that very quickly, you'll find that, in practice, it's more complicated. And with some of the intersection types you'll run into, it can be very challenging to decide how you want to signal them. So I'm actually going to do my first one over here, just normally right on screen here. That way you guys can see what it is, and then for signaling the rest of them, I'll do that just sort of as part of my regular build segments, probably during some sort of time lapse. But for this first one, I just want to show what's up here. So I'm actually going to take this. I'm going to mark this as rail signal and this as chain signal. So the idea here is that anything that absolutely never should be blocked, should absolutely never, ever, ever be blocked for any reason. The point going into that section should always be a chain signal. So you don't ever want a train stopped right here, right? Because not only will that will cause havoc in several parts of the intersection, right? That could potentially, because a train is longer than this. So it'll stop here and it'll also like fill up all this area. It'll be a bit of a pain in the butt. Now that's actually not a huge issue now that I'm looking at it, because this is only ever going to come this way or that way. It's going to stop no matter what. So really this doesn't matter as much. Entering into an intersection, but over here, right, if you were coming down this way and wanted to turn here, you wouldn't want it to find itself here and stop, right? Because now you're interfering with this line and this line. So that's a much bigger issue. This one, not so much. This one, definitely, you have to make sure that you signal correctly. So what are we going to do for this? So first, we're going to take the entry and exit into each zone and into account here. So for this one, I am going to mark this entry into this one as such, right? Entry into this network, I'm going to mark it as such, right? So that's a chain signal. So now I don't want a train stopping anywhere between here and for, like, say this will continue, because this will eventually continue. I don't want it ever stopping until it gets outside completely of here. So the next one should be a rail signal, because I don't ever want it stopping in here somewhere. So this is a chain signal. So this one goes this way, and that's an exit point. So this is the next entry point into it. And so again, for all entry points, we're going to mark it with one of those. This way is an entry point, so we're going to mark it with one of those. So that's our 3 entryways into our system, right? So now we need to look at the various exits from the system. So if you're coming in this way, you have 2 ways to go. You can go up, at which point you're here, so I'm going to mark it as such. Or you go down this way, and you're coming out this way, and so I will mark that as such. Okay? Now, what if you're coming in this way, right? Well, again, you have 2 options. You can go straight down, at which point, once again, your exit is here, right? And I've already marked that one. Or you can go this way and your exit is over here. Okay. Now what if you come up this way? Come up this way, you enter, you can go to the right, at which point your exit is here, which we've already marked, or you can go straight up and your exit is there, which is already marked. So this should be good. And the reason I say that is because now basically if any train for any reason wants to go up into this network from any direction, it will only be able to enter if its way out is also free. Okay, so that's the idea. Chain signals in, rail signals out. I probably explained that very poorly, but I'm hoping that at least that little bit sticks in your brain. Chain signals in, rail signals out, and you should keep an eye on every possible ingress and every single way in and every single way out of your rail line. Okay, so I think because that was relatively simple, I'm going to actually do it for the second one up here, this 3-way intersection as well. We're going to do the same thing. So I've started with a chain signal in hand. We're going to go chain signal at the entrance, chain signal at the entrance, and chain signal at the entrance. And now and also, by the way, you can see that these signals are like flashing and I put them down. That's because like these partially signaled rails are a little bit confusing for the signal, because these are on, like, you know, from here, someone going over here, it's not really sure what it's trying to signal, because like because right now this branch going down and this branch going up are all part of the same network. This one going down here has nothing on it, but this one going up here does because it connects to the whole other network. And so it's not really sure what to signal at this point. It's very confused. So that's why it's flashing like that. And you'll see that'll go away once we put in the other parts of the signaling. So if I were, for instance, to put a rail signal here, and if I were to put a regular rail signal here, you should see, actually, I would have expected it to stop, but maybe it'll stop once we actually finish closing all the other circuits. So this goes in and out this way. Yeah, there we go. As soon as we started to like close it, and I think that's everything done. Because if you come up this way, that one's done, that one's done. If you come in this way, this one's done with a rail signal, that one's done with a rail signal. If you come in this way, that one's a rail signal, that one's a rail signal. So yeah, this is now done. So as soon as I did that, these, like, now they're blue, which still means the same thing, right? Like you can go, it means that like down one path, it's good, down the other path, it's not. But at least now those paths are like, they're not all part of the same path, and it's more open, right? So we're also going to do it for our stops over here. So I only want... Now I've included these little like side areas here. By that I mean like this like a bypass here, just in case somehow the trains end up on this circuit, but they don't want to actually stop here. I don't know if that's like really feasible or possible or a problem I have to worry about, but I have set it up just in case. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to say that I'm going to put a chain signal here, and then I'm going to put a rail signal at the possible exits. So one here and one here. And now trains can enter into this signal if it wants to. And it should be able to. I don't know why that's marked as like red, absolutely red. Because that should actually read as blue, right? Because it can go either this way or that way. Hold on, I'm double checking some things here. Oh, interesting. Okay, I think that the idea here is that I actually need to break these off into their own. I'm actually just going to put a regular signal there. And I don't want this to be included in that, so I think I need to put a regular signal like there as well. There we go. That'll break them off into different blocks. I don't know if that's the correct way to approach that, but I think for a split, it's very important to make sure that it, like, because this isn't an intersection in the way that there are like multiple ins and outs, it's just one in and multiple outs. So I think in this case, this is correct. So that's going to operate slightly differently. And also, again, I have now run out of material. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish signaling up what I already have. I'm also going to continue to extend... Ooh, the game is a little bit confused about what I do and do not have sort of... I've got like a little block where there's no pollution over. I wonder if that's intentional or not. Anyway, I'm going to continue running this line out, and we're going to sort of finish our train setup in this area. So I will take care of that, and then I will be right back. All right, enjoy. All right. Well, looks like everything has been signaled up correctly. The train with the plastic on it is moving nicely. So the train that's delivering plastic, delivering coal for the plastic to be made, and then is picking up the plastic and moving it to where the plastic is being used to make circuits. That's all done. That's all moving nicely. Doesn't seem to have any trouble getting from point A to point B, so far as I can tell. And in fact, if you look at the map up there, the train's moving across right now to its final destination. It's stopping and then it's going to go deliver the plastic. So everything seems to be working. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to continue running these lines, these train lines out over. We're going to make a few more of these train stops over here, and I'll let you guys know when we're done. All right, see you on the other side. All right, I'm gonna pop back in here. It's been quite a while. I've been putting in quite a lot of work here. As you can sort of see from the map here, I've extended myself out this way quite a bit, although I've left a little bit of a gap in some of the stuff, it looks like. I may have to check that back out. But as I've been trying to sort of figure out what I want to do here, these are going to be relatively small things, so I kind of didn't want them, they don't need to be super well done, so this is just sort of loops around and comes back in. This is where the, like, iron plates and the steel is going to get dropped off, so it's going to get turned in, the steel's going to get turned into steel poles and all that stuff, or the iron's going to get turned into iron poles, and the steel's going to get sent over to these, you know, all that together is going to get sent over to these guys. That's where the rail's going to get made, and the rail's just going to sort of, for right now, it's just going to sit here just like it was doing before. Really all I'm doing is cutting out this like big middleman. But up here is where things are a little bit interesting, because I'm trying to figure out how to, this is just going to be for that one line to pick up, but this is where I want to drop off all of the science, at least for a time being. If there's ever going to be science that I'm going to put on a rail because I'm making it elsewhere, this is where I want it to drop off. So this is going to be a potentially big drop-off point where there's going to drop off a lot of different stuff here. And I'm not really sure what I want to do with this, and I'm trying to figure out, so this might be the first usage that I'm going to make of what's called a stacker, I believe it's generally referred to as, which is where like it's a holding area for multiple trains that are trying to get fed into like a single stop. And so I'm going to try and figure that out, and I think the way I'm going to start is by doing something like this, break off one, send it in this direction a couple times, and then make another one like here, maybe? Is that the way it's... except I've got a signal in the way if I do it there. That should be enough space between them, right? And the third one, like out here. Nope, that's not gonna work either. How about here? Got a single tree in the way. All right, something like that, and then they all have to come together in the end, going up. So yeah, that's okay. So that's what we're gonna call our stacker. And again, entry into these is going to be dependent on a rail signal. I think. Hold on. No, entry into these is going to be dictated by a, yeah, regular rail signal. Let's get a couple of those made. And then entry into the space between the stacker and the stop. Itself is going to be dependent on chain signals. Because this area should not ever be blocked. And then this here. So there will never be like a straight line here. So this should go away. So I need to fix this now. You're going up into... There, that should connect. And then you are coming down this way. Okay. This should never be blocked in any way, shape, or form. So this is no longer the exit part of this. This is now part of the same intersection structure. Oh, hold on. I think I made an error there. Whoops. I was deleting those because I thought in the same way that there's no straight up and down that way, there should never be a straight up and down this way, but that's just not true because this has got to be the return path. Whoops. So that'll have to be signaled again. Yeah, so this is now broken. So I've got to go straight down this way with there should be a chain signal. There we go. That stopped that being broken. Okay. That was my being dumb. Chain signal. Yeah. Yeah, so there should just be a regular rail signal in here somewhere. Allowing you to go straight down. Okay. And then now the stop itself is going to be like here. Like that. And I believe I do actually even have a stop in my inventory, which I do. This, I'm gonna color it like, yeah, for science. It's gonna be science drop. Just in case at some point we ever put actual science on the line. Okay, so that should be good. And now I've just got to figure out, okay, so now I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna set this up and we're gonna try and get these trains actually moving. So I'll be right back in a bit. All right, guys, here we go. Set this to automatic and let's see what it does. I'm in the train currently, so it should be taking me along for a ride. Whew. I've been putting a lot into this in the last little bit here. This should only hold here for 45 seconds. It's going to load up on iron and steel as much as possible. Now, I'm aware that, you know, I've only got like one, or like I've only got like 4 furnaces making the steel that's being sent over here, so there's not actually a lot of it. But that's why this isn't set to wait until it's full. This is actually just going to hold for 45 seconds. I will almost certainly need to increase the amount of steel that's coming out of this line. I can do that at some point. It's not really a huge deal. This is just to make the rail, so like I need a lot of it, but I don't necessarily need a lot of it all at once. Once I finish this line, I'll actually be pretty good for, I think, a while. So then after 45 seconds, we go back. It stops and the stack inserters start pulling it out and we start putting it on the line here. And there we go. Okay. As all this stuff gets fed over, it should be able to start producing. Yeah, this is producing full time. That's one facility making these probably isn't enough to support 3 of these, or maybe it's exactly enough to support 3 of these. I don't remember if I did the math or not. Well, either way, it's going. Okay, so that train is now done. This line is now finished. So now what we got to do is we just got to get a dumping spot for the sulfur, which is what we were doing out this way. So with the intersection marked, with the eventual dumping spot for all of the science figured out once we start doing science remotely, and, you know, this situation taken care of, we can continue out this way. All right. So now what we're doing is I need to find a place to dump the sulfur. So I am going to need to clear out more of these trees, I think, because we're going to try and put the sulfur like down in here. So there was just an awful lot of just like logistics in this episode, so that this episode is very heavily gonna be, you know, time warping, and the time warps are pretty long relative to some of the other episodes I've been putting out. So I do apologize for that, but I think you can see the beauty in my you know, workflow here, in that, you know, I'm really providing some, you know, trying to show you guys like my setup, then I'm just sort of doing it in a time skip and then showing you the end results. And I think it's coming along quite nicely. We're getting a lot of good work done here. So if you take a look at the progress we made just in the last couple of episodes, it's been kind of transformative. So yeah, so now what we really need to do now is we need to set up a place to dump the sulfur, because we have the engine, advanced circuits and engine units. We just need to dump the sulfur, and the sulfur needs to go on the same line as the engine units. So one half of one line is engine units, one half of one line is sulfur, and then the other side of that is 3 advanced circuits. Does that make sense? Not necessarily, no. No, if the advanced circuits and sulfur go on the same line with a fast inserter, then I can have the engine units putting in with a regular inserter, and it should be fine. Actually, it's only 24 seconds, so actually it only ever needs to go in with a regular inserter. Fast inserter not needed. I don't remember how many facilities I actually said we wanted to make here. I am actually not sure about that. Because I got 12 facilities making red circuits. So 12 facilities making red circuits makes 12 of them every 6 seconds, which means they make 2 a second. This makes 2 every 24 seconds. This makes 1 every 12 seconds. So that means I can do 24 facilities. No, that's not true. Hold on. No. It's making 2. This makes an advanced circuit every 6 seconds, and I got 12 of them. So they're making 2 a second. This consumes 3 every 24 seconds. So if there were... So I needed to consume 48 every 24 seconds. So that's 10, 15, is that 18? 18 times 3? No. 16 times 3. 16, 32, 48. So I can run 16 of these. The engine units are creating 1 every 10 seconds, and I've got 13 of them running. 13 engine units every 10 seconds is 1.3 every second. This is creating 2. This is spending. So if I were to put up 16 of these, it would be eating 32 every 24 seconds. It's 1.25. Yeah, 16 is the correct number. Okay. So 16 facilities. Now that's a lot, and it's going to require some red belts, I think. Now, excuse me while I make a bunch of red belts as well. Because what we got to do here is we got to make 2 lines of 8. And let's start it from the back here, because this is where it's going to offload from. And offload like here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And with, well, let's say red belt running down the middle of it. I actually don't have a lot of right now, so we'll just make that. Okay. We gotta automate the production of red belts very soon here. We gotta be making red belt production like very soon here. That's definitely gotta be automated in a big way. Let me grab grab a bunch of those. Let me grab a bunch of iron off the belts here. And let's make as many of these as my hands can carry for the time being. Okay. So going into this is going to be very similar to our other systems, where there's going to be 2 belts going into this. One belt is going to be filled with 2 different types of items. Let's put it here and flip one. Except these should be red splitters. So we'll replace those with red splitters in a second. We'll mark this all out with like yellow line, but so the blue science is made. So we're going to put sulfur in the advanced circuits on the same line. So the sulfur is going to come in from down here, and it's going to go on this line, and the advanced circuits is going to go on this line as well. If I go ahead and just grab this transport belt, we go like, because this isn't red. This is, we're gonna have to like upgrade all of this to red before too much longer. If I go just like red belt into here. And then we're gonna go sulfur into here. Which is gonna come from the train stop. This needs a red undergrounder. Which we can't make either right now. Okay, so we're just gonna have a regular undergrounder for now. All this is gonna have to be retrofit. All this is gonna have to be retrofit with red stuff eventually. Just right now I don't have enough of that to make that work. Okay, and then there's going to be another line of just engine units. Which, again, this is going to have to be like underground. Which means this doesn't have to be underground. Give me those two splitters that I made. Let's go split and split. And from here we're going to go like, put you there. Run you in here. One set goes down the line this way. One set heads down the line this way. Yeah, and then yeah, we run those as far as we can before we have to trade out to just regular yellows. Go. Again, this doesn't really matter as much. We need to make a bunch more of these, just regular inserters. Because again, these only have to fire once every like 24 seconds, so it's not actually a big deal. These don't have to be like fast inserters or anything like that. They're gonna take their time. In, and out in the middle, of course. Just out in the middle is fine for all of this. And I just need to, like, I need more. I need more. I need more of everything. Everything I need more of. Let's see. Yo. Don't start destroying your infrastructure for no reason. There we go. Make a whole bunch of those. And then out in the middle, out in the middle, out in the middle. All the way down the line here. And do this as well for all these. This is how they're all going to be powered. straight across each way. This is going to get connected to the existing grid from there. We need a bunch of long-handled inserters. Right in the middle for each one. Boom. All right. So now, well, if I tell you you're all making blue circuit, fortunately nothing is going to happen yet. You're all making blue. Of course, yeah, I can queue this up all day. But it's not actually doing anything because there's no sulfur yet. But there we go. You're all queued up. Last and final step is going to be to build out my train station. This episode might go a little bit long here because of all of the shenaniganry we keep getting into. But I want to build the next one out here. So give me a minute. I'm going to build out this last train station and start sulfur on its move. All right? One last time skip for this episode. I'll be right with you guys. Here we go. All right, folks. Here we go. Here we go. It's the moment of truth. To see if everything we've done today sort of works out and makes sense. As you can see, all of these different areas black out as soon as our train passes through them. So no train should be entering into those blocks as we enter into them. This is going to stop here. Oh. Because I forgot I already put a train on this track. Never mind. This train does not need to exist on this track. This is the train, which should have all of the routing instructions. So I apologize. Excuse me. This is the train that's supposed to have all the routing instructions. So let's reroute all of this. Let's go start at sulfur pickup. Allow for 45 seconds to pass. Then we're going to go to sulfur drop, and we are going to wait until we are empty. Let's go. So now it's going to hold for 45 seconds here, but I'm actually going to just skip that instruction. Everything looks good. And it's, again, just be watching all of these different things, all these lights changing as I enter and exit the blocks. And here it is. The sulfur has arrived. It'll now take a while for it to be extracted. I put a couple of points of upgrading into the stack inserters, so they should actually be able to move 4 items at a time into here. So they're moving very, very quickly to unload. And in fact, they're moving so quickly to unload that to load it into these boxes, the unloading arms actually can't keep up with it. And what you're going to notice here is, unfortunately, that I'm probably not going to fully saturate this belt. Simply because of, I feel like I just don't have enough stuff. These earlier ones are going to poach all of the sulfur before it makes it to the further ones. But then again, maybe not, just due to the fact that it's all on regular inserters. It is actually starting to sort of set up already. We have our first bit of production on the way. So let's actually set up that for the next thing. The next thing I'm going to start making is batteries. Batteries are obviously, along the way for electricity. Batteries require sulfuric acid, which is a byproduct of the sulfur. So as the sulfur is sort of tracked around to different places, we will, we'll have a place set up to accept sulfur for batteries as well as for the science here. But let's start our research on the batteries, since we are now finally getting to a point where science is happening again. And yeah, we're unloading as much of it as we can. It's being sent down the trails, and yeah, it's more than fully saturating this base, which makes me think that I can actually start like breaking some of this off and doing like, maybe get the bus turned here and start the bus heading south here, and like use this as an input onto the bus to do battery production right here. And then we can eventually pick up batteries and add them to the train line and everything like that. Although I don't really intend on shipping intermediate products through the train system. So there it is, it's empty, and now it's on its way back. So yeah, this worked out. And you see, we've got a whole bunch of blue science just waiting to go. So we'll be able to route that over to here, and we'll get it on one of these belts or something. Feels pretty good, honestly. It feels really good. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for me today. Next episode is going to start with us adding this blue to getting it routed over here somehow. I think it's going to involve like cutting this green line here and then splitting the green into one line so the blue can be added on the back end of it. I think that's probably what we're going to do. And yeah, that'll get blue on the line to be used up by these, and we can start going into the next level of tech. So right now it's looking pretty good. We have everything that we need on lock. That's honestly, we're kind of all coming together. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for stopping in. My name is Tanis Fugit. Thank you for stopping by the Fugitive Theater. If you really like the video, like, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that I hate saying. But thank you guys very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.